Hey everyone, welcome back to my next YouTube video. Today we're talking about how to succeed and get straight A's in school in a virtual environment. So a lot of my subscribers are students and they want tips on improving their grades. And of course, based on the current times, there's going to be a lot of remote work, virtual classes, or hybrids of that for the next year at least, where you're going to be going to school in person some of the time, but many people are just going to feel safer uh, taking classes from home. Now, there's pros and cons to this, but it is a little bit of a different environment. So there's certain things that you'll have to emphasize more rather than less if you want to succeed. Now, the first tip I have three tips for you today. The first tip is maybe the most important. And to explain, it's about active learning. You have to use your active learning more than passive learning. Now, even when you're taking classes in person, there's going to be moments where you're passive learning. We all know those classes where the professor just lectures and drones on, and we just kind of tune off and we're on our laptops and we're not really listening. This is passive learning because, kind of just like watching TV, it requires very little brain power and is proven to be the worst form of learning because you're not really taking in anything. Active learning requires you to actively challenge yourself and actively test yourself by seeing if you can work out problems and use the knowledge that you've learned. So you have to take your own initiative and make sure you do active learning during and sometimes after a lecture. Sometimes you could do it after. You don't have to do it during the lecture. It depends on your own style, but actively taking the time to make sure that you got the big principles that the teacher was trying to teach, and then taking problems and examples and stuff from your textbook, or maybe you make them up yourself, and see if you can actually explain and answer those problems and principles. That's how you actively learn. You can also actively learn by forming study groups, talking to other people, testing others, trying to teach it to other people. So that's the first tip, and probably the most impactful difference that great students have. The second tip is to take breaks. When you're learning remotely, and by the way, people learn, there's many remote students even before our current times with everything that's been going on. Even before the pandemic, there were moments where there's thousands of students who worked or took remote virtual university classes. So this is an evergreen topic that's useful even after these times. The second tip is taking breaks, and what I mean by that is, since you're working remotely so often, you're going to be sitting at home all day and your body hasn't even moved. Even small movements where you're going like this, or you're just walking around for 20 seconds, that actually activates your muscles and you know burns a little bit of calories, not much. But the whole idea here is like your muscles will atrophy, your mind will kind of numb if you're never doing any activity. So I suggest the Pomodoro technique, which is a popular productivity technique where every 25 minutes you take 5 minutes off, where you don't go on social media or anything, but you take that 5 minute break to do something that's refreshing and replenishing for your mind, like going out on a walk for nature. You can't go on electronics or do anything that's distracting or just kind of sucks you in the same way as you would when you're working. And that really kind of boosts your focus and while replenishing your energy. I suggest different experimenting with different time frames, because some people do better with longer or shorter breaks or focus durations. For me, sometimes I'll do every 35 minutes or every hour, and then I'll take a 10 to 15 minute break. That just tends to work better for me because I can focus for longer periods, and I like to take longer breaks. So try it out for yourself, and that I recommend exercise or some activity, a walk during that break, because it just, especially when you're always inside, it just kind of gets you. It improves your physical energy levels by being active more than before. And then the third tip I have for you is to really take the initiative. Take the initiative in everything you do. That could mean going back to active learning, taking the initiative to take notes during class and checking in on yourself so you don't just check out. It's so easy to do that when you have access to your computer there with social media and all these things that companies have spent millions of dollars to psychologically suck children in and get them addicted. So unfortunately, it's against you. And most people who are not, taking initiative to be aware of that are just going to let those browsers, YouTube and all these things suck them away. So just by being aware of that and installing site blockers and stuff like that is going to improve your productivity. There's other ways you can take initiative. Once again, challenge yourself. Test yourself on the notes and the principles after class, during class. Take the initiative to reach out to other classmates on Facebook or whatever it is. Maybe it's through your school system Canvas if you don't want to go on social media, and then reach out to them and message them and say, hey, I want to form a study group. You can't just wait for other people to form a study group, because sometimes everyone else is waiting for someone to take the initiative, or everyone doesn't care. So these are small things that heighten your performance, and you can kind of see that there's a certain intentionality behind a star performer versus the average person. So hopefully these tips will help, and good luck to all my students out there.